and welcome to a revolution in tennis. It's the Asia Pacific Tennis League. My name's Peter Marcato, alongside Dave Bidmeade, one of the players in the competition. You must be excited with the new concept that's coming on.
Very excited, Pete. It's a fantastic concept and we're going to see some awesome tennis all around the nation.
So get ready for a whole new ball game. The ATL is a unique and exciting competition, bringing together players from all over the Asia-Pacific region, competing in teams spread across a number of conferences. The competition is important because it gives players valuable match practice leading into the Australian Open next year, but also some much-needed funds to be able to continue playing. And Dave, really important for those players outside the top 100 to continue to earn income. This is a great way to do it.
That's right. Well, it gives players a great base over the Australian summer, Pete, while they're back here, having a bit of rest, training also, and to save a bit of money, get some great tennis, and also, of course, that money just to save up for those tournaments overseas when they are travelling.
The structure of the competition: there are 5 domestic conferences in the ATL, played throughout the month of November. Conference champions will progress to the ATL playoffs held at Melbourne Park during the last week of the Australian Open. An extra 3 teams from the Asia-Pacific region will join the Australian Conference champions in the ATL playoffs. Now, an interesting system of bringing players and teams together. Players were asked to nominate themselves. They went into a national pool and then teams were able to pick players from there. An interesting way of doing things.
That's right, and what it does, Pete, is it puts the best young junior players in Australia with the current touring players and former touring players, as well as the best local players, all playing together in a great competition. So there's going to be some fantastic competition for all players involved.
Time now to take a look at the teams and individuals competing in the Asia Pacific Tennis League. And let's start off with the Queensland Conference. And the conference gets underway on the 6th of November. It venues all across the state, culminating in the final to be held at Griffith University in Brisbane. There are 6 men's and 6 women's teams competing across the competition: the Toowoomba Tigers, the Tennis Brisbane Chargers, Bidmeade Blaze, Shore Park Sharks, the Tennis Brisbane Tornadoes, and the Sunshine Coast Breakers. Dave, some players and teams to watch. Let's start off with the Tennis Brisbane Chargers and some talent throughout this team on the men's side.
There is, Pete. John the Mailman Millman heading this team. He always delivers, John Millman. Superstar player. He's about 10 in Australia at the moment. He's definitely one to watch. And also in that team, Michael Look, who's 369 ATP currently. He's going to be fantastic in that team also.
He has had an amazing tennis journey across his career. He's been a hitting partner to some of the biggest names in the game, forging a career for himself as well, which is great to see. Also, Robert Smeet's in that team too. On the women's side of things, the Shore Park Sharks, and they've got an interesting lineup and a good lineup as well.
They do. Rachel Trudeau, she's only 19 years of age and current Australian ranking of 20. She's definitely one to look out for. And a very young team as well. They've got a couple of young juniors in Jamie Gilbertson and Lizette Cabrera, who's only 16 and 14 years old, respectively.
Sticking with the Shore Park Sharks, let's look at the men's side. And one player to watch over the course, of his career. He's had an amazing story in tennis, but also in this competition is JP Smith.
Yes, JP Smith. He had a stellar college career and he's converted that into a great ATP career so far. And look out for him, and also look out for him in the Australian Open this year, possibly as well.
And as we turn our attention now to the Toowoomba Tigers, one player to watch, a quality player, Isabella Holland.
Yeah, of course, Bella Holland. She's very experienced, 21 years old, played in the Australian Open before and a lot of other big tournaments, won a couple of ITF titles. She's going to be a very good player for them. So
the way the rounds will work, the first round will be held on the 6th of November and then we'll progress through to the final on the 23rd of November at Griffith University. One of the most exciting conferences in the Asia Pacific Tennis League will be that of New South Wales and ACT. There are 5 men and 5 women sides competing in the competition, and they're as follows: the ATP Sydney, Canberra Velocity, National Academy Stars, Hunter Raworth Tigers, the Canterbury Bankstown Wizards. On the women's side, the City Community Tennis, Asia Pacific Tennis Institute Steelers, the National Academy Stars, the NSTA Avengers, and Canberra Velocity. Some exciting teams, some exciting players in these teams, Dave, as we take a look at ATP Sydney and a player you know very well leading their side.
I do. Greg Jones, the number one there. He's going to be a pretty tough competitor, and their team is just stacked. If they can get all on the park, Pete, they're going to be right in there in January during the Australian Open for the conference playoffs, that's for sure. Greg Jones, Nick Lindahl, and Adam Feeney, all in one team. It's going to be a star-studded lineup, and look forward to watching them.
On the women's side, the Canberra Velocity, an interesting side here. Ashley Kerr leading their team, but also Alison Bai, a very experienced player.
That's right, and Tyra Calderwood as well, a bit of experience in buying Calderwood. I think they're going to get through in this conference, Pete. They're looking pretty good.
Let's stick with the Canberra Velocity side and focus on the men's side. Alex Bolt.
Yeah, a youngster. He's in the AS program, and he's just won his first Futures title at Happy Valley, and currently in the 400s ATP World Ranking. So he's one to watch out for. On
the women's side, the Asia Pacific Tennis Institute Steelers, Monique Adamczak, who again is another experienced player, and good to see that she's coming back to play in this competition.
That's right. She's been around for a long time, very experienced player. She's been in the Australian Open before a few times. And she's going to be great for their team.
The first round of the New South Wales ACT Conference will be held on the 8th of November at Sydney Olympic Park and will continue through, including a few split rounds between the Sydney Olympic Park and Canberra, all the way through to the final on the 27th of November. The Victorian Conference of the Asia Pacific Tennis League consists of 6 men's teams and 5 women's teams spread from all over Melbourne. On the men's side, the teams competing, the Waverley Warriors, the Kooyong Classics, the Donvale Devils, the Bundoora Bulls, the Dingley Dingoes and the Liston Seagulls. While on the women's side, the Belgrave Rangers, the MCC Demons, the Waverley Warriors, the Frankston Firebirds and the Kooyong Classics. Dave, I know you're very close to this competition and this conference, obviously playing yourself for the Kooyong team. But let's take a look at some of the other teams to watch. And we start off with the Liston Seagulls.
Yeah, Liston Seagulls, what a lineup they have. Headed by the man with the fastest serve in history. Sam Groth recorded a serve of 263 kilometres per hour, Pete, during this year. And it's going to be pretty exciting to watch him serve some cannons down. Also in this team as well, they have James Lemke and Ramiz Junaid. A couple of experienced players there, been around for quite a while, and they're going to be right up there listed. And I think the team that's going to compete with them in this conference is the Kooyong Classics, Pete, headed by John Peers, who's a top 100 ATP doubles player at the moment. Also going pretty well in the singles, around 400. Not to mention a lot of experience in this team with Richard Fromberg, Jay Salter, Daniel Burns, and myself. So. No, looking pretty good there, Pete.
Just had to get yourself in there. Very nicely done. But on the women's side of things, a very strong team for Kooyong as well.
That's right. Sally Peers, Belinda Wilcock and Michaela Capanol, some players to watch out for. Peers, of course, have seen her be involved in the Australian Open, and they're the defending national champions as well last year, as well as the men's in Kooyong. So looking pretty good. Also, the MCC Demons. Zoe Hives, a young player representing Australia in the Junior Fed Cup. She's going to be one to look out for them.
All right, let's take a closer look at John Peers from your team. Tell us a little bit about him and what he'll bring to the side.
Well, college player. He graduated from Baylor University. His current ranking in doubles is in the 80s, so he's had a fantastic year, and this is his really first full year on tour. And he's also, like I mentioned, around 400 in the world in singles. A very attacking player, likes to come to net and takes returns very early. He's going to be a very good player for this format, especially with the first to 4 sudden death juice games. I think it really suits him. Also Sam Groth in that format. I think some of the serve like that, it's been pretty hard to break.
I heard you trying to match that, the 263 kilometres. We're going to hold you to that, Dave, as
quite.
Well. On the other side of things, Zoe Hives, as you mentioned, from the MCC Demons, a very strong player.
Well, just a young player to watch out for, and that's what this competition's so good. I mean, that's why it's so good. It's because there's so many good young players coming through, and she's just one of them.
Taking a look at how the competition will be structured, the first round is on the 11th of November at Donvale for the men and Kooyong for the women, continuing through until the final on the 30th November at the Kooyong Tennis Club. The The teams in the South Australian Conference of the Asia Pacific Tennis League will all be competing at Memorial Drive, and there are 6 men's and 6 women's teams in competition. On the men's side, the Golden Grove Lions, the Trinity Titans, Broadway Tigers, the Drive, Glenlee and Tea Tree Gully. And on the women's side, the Goodwood Saints, the Drive, Tea Tree Gully, Flagstaff Freighters, Golden Grove Lions and Somerton Park Sharks. Dave, as we take a look at some of the teams to watch, on the men's side, the Glenlee Sharks will be a particularly strong team.
Yeah, absolutely. Probably 3 of the best or the most promising juniors in Australia. Luke Seville, Thanasi Kokonakis and Jack Shapansky. I think this team's going to be really competitive in the SA division, that's for sure.
Absolutely. On the women's side, I think a carbon copy here with the Flagstaff Freighters.
That's right, Bojana Babusic heading this team. She's currently 9 in Australia. Also Carolina Waladchak and also Brooke Rishbeth. It's going to be a fantastic team there.
One of the players to watch on the men's side plays for the Drive, Colin Ebeltide, who's been around the tour for a little while now.
He's been around, Colin, and he's a very explosive player. Got to 207 in ATP in the singles, and he's currently top 100 doubles player. He's just cracked the top 100 this year, and good to see him still going. He's going to be great in this format, like I mentioned, a few other players. First to 4, really explosive format. He's an explosive player. It's going to really suit him.
On the women's side, Elise Edwards is playing for the Somerton Sharks.
Yeah, Elise Edwards, another good young player, and just come back from college, from Boise State University. She's going to be one to watch for sure.
So the way the competition is structured here, round 1 is on the 8th of November, all the way through to the final on the 30th of November, all matches to be played at Memorial Drive. One of the most competitive conferences in the Asia Pacific Tennis League will be that of WA, where there are 4 men's and 4 women's teams in competition. On the men's side, it's the Giants, the Manning Mosquitoes, the Dalkeith Dolphins and the Western Sharks. While on the women's side, it's the BGP Ball Bursters, the Midland Mad Dogs, the Giants and the Perth Swans. Traditionally a very strong state, and the competition will be no different. As we take a look at some of the teams, the men's Giants team particularly strong.
That's right, headed by Miles Armstrong, the former touring pro, current highest ranking of 268 ATP in singles. This format's going to suit him, another player, very explosive, massive serve. He can take it up to any player in all conferences, Miles, and look for him to be a very strong player for them. Also in this team, Zach Ickstein, touring player, currently around 50 AR ranking. And also Andrew Roberts, former Tassie boy, former touring pro, got to about 600 in the world as well. He's going to be very strong. This is a bit of a star-studded lineup over there in WA.
Well, the Giants women's team is also a star-studded lineup, led by Jess Moore, who has Grand Slam experience.
That's right. They've done some good recruiting, the Giants. Jess Moore made the final of the junior singles final in the Australian Open, and also has played main draw Australian Open as well. So plenty of experience coming from that team. Also Marissa Giannotti, touring player at the moment. She is in this lineup. They have a lot of depth as well, with a couple of young players in their team, and I think they might get through in LWA.
Well, the way the rounds are structured, there are 3 preliminary rounds starting on the 7th of November, culminating in the final on the 28th of November, all the matches to be played at the State Tennis Centre. So those are the teams and players competing in the Asia Pacific Tennis League, and the finals to be held at Melbourne Park during the second week of the Australian Open. To keep up to date with all the latest information, head to tennis.com.au/competitions or to the hashtag ATL on Twitter. It's promising to be an exciting competition. Best of luck with the Kooyong team, Dave.
Thank you, Pete.
We look forward to your company next time as we take a closer look at the Queensland Conference.